Hi girlies, welcome back to my channel. So it is 2024, it is Year of the Dragon, and that year is special to a lot of people. It's supposed to be a very lucky year, and so I've already been doing a little bit of shopping, a little bit of perusing around brands, and what I've been noticing is that a lot of brands have actually been doing some very cool and cute Lunar New Year collections. In case that's something that's interesting to you, I wanted to hop on here really quickly and give my honest opinions and thoughts on what's worth it, what's cute, and what's not. So we're gonna get right into it, but before we do, hi, I'm Somidoshoppers. I make videos once or twice a week on luxury and fashion. I love taking you guys shopping with me. I love taking you around my life in SF and just sharing my thoughts on my purchases on all things luxury. So if you're interested in that, I would love it if you subscribe so you don't miss out. Don't mind my phone, I just have my notes here, so I'm just gonna be looking at it back and forth periodically. But Dior released two collections actually for the Lunar New Year. The first one was this collection between Dior and Otani, and this is where their kind of like dedicated dragon Lunar New Year collection was. And then they also released a Hearts of Butterfly collection, which kind of played off of their most recent cruise collection, which was Butterflies Around the World. So I'm just gonna start with the Dior and Otani workshop collection. So they have a dragon, and the dragon is an art piece, I would have to say. I try to be nice about it without being mean, but honestly, I'm not a fan of the dragon. So the dragon, they released it on several clothing items as well as shoes, but it's kind of a scary looking dragon. It's a dragon that would come out in my nightmares, I would have to say. I, of course, totally respect the artwork and the creation and the theme behind it, but personally for me, it's not something that I would personally want to add to my collection if I'm thinking about the Lunar New Year and the dragon. But I think for people who are very interested in Dior, or obviously for all the artists, this would be a very good collectible item to have. My friend did actually end up buying one of their shirts. Like I mentioned, they released it on shirts, they released it on shoes, they released it on scarves, they released it on bags. There's a ton of different items that you can get this special dragon on. The most kind of shocking piece to me would have to be this kind of tie-dye with the dragon all across the front with buttons. Again, it's very cool, and I think if you're a little bit more into streetwear or something like that, this would be a very cool item to have. But again, personally for me, I'm just not the huge fan of it, but I think it's still very cool to have as kind of like a part of Dior's collection. Now, the other collection that Dior kind of released alongside that was their Hearts of Butterflies collection, which is something that I would definitely be much more interested in. It's again playing off that butterfly design of the Butterfly Around the World collection with their previous cruise collection, but it's mainly focusing just on the color red, which is very traditional for the Lunar New Year. So very similarly to that dragon that we just saw, they had released this pattern on multiple items, including bags, shoes, ready to wear, etc., on plates and things like that. I think the most notable items to me are the book tote that it came in. It comes out in this beautiful floral butterfly design, again with this really kind of like striking royal red color. And then also they released a DJoy in this pattern as well, which I think was just so beautiful. If you're really into red, I think this collection would definitely be for you. Other particular favorites of mine are a sweater that they had released, very similar to, again, the Butterfly Around the World sweater that they kind of already released, but this one is just a little bit more kind of in a heart pattern because it is like the heart of butterflies, again with the red, and then all these beautiful butterflies just embroidered into a cashmere knit. And then my two other favorite items would definitely have to be the twilly that they had released, very similar to the twilly that I had recently bought as well. Again, just in this beautiful red color. I think that red is just going to be an it color for this season. A lot of brands have already been releasing a lot of red or kind of like burgundy colors for 2024, so I think that if you are kind of inching into color or expanding your wardrobe into some more fun pieces, I think that red would definitely be a great color to start with. And then additionally, they had also released a couple special fashion jewelry pieces, very cute again with like the hearts and everything. I think this collection also kind of tied into their Valentine's collection. I think that they had released their Valentine's collection very quickly after these collections, so they kind of all just like blended together for me. But they had also released the heart canage motifs again, so instead of the regular kind of crossed check pattern, the bags and other leather goods, lambskin goods are coming out in the heart design again. They had previously released the heart design before, but now it's coming out again in colors of red and pink, and they came out with like a very cute heart bag. And so I think that Dior is just killing it, really. I think that they're so cute. Valentine's Day isn't very far off either, so if you want to drop, you know, little sprinkles, little crumbs of hints to your significant other to get for your Valentine's Day gift, I think Dior would be a great place to start because their Valentine's Day collection, their Hearts of Butterflies collection is just so beautiful. I would really recommend that you go check them out. The next brand, it definitely has to be Louis Vuitton. This is probably what I think is the cutest collection that was released for the Lunar New Year. These days, Louis Vuitton has just been so cute and so fresh. I think they've taken like a really nice and young approach to a lot of fashion, a lot of designs that they've been going out, which has really been revamping their popularity amongst like all different genres of people. But there's definitely some really cute items to look out for their particular Lunar New Year collection. So I will have to say, like, the most fun things that they had released was their kind of like Vivienne, which is their mascot, riding a dragon. So they had a couple fashion jewelry pieces that emphasize this. I think this is so adorable. Not something that I would necessarily buy, but Vivienne, their mascot, is just so cute. And a lot of brands don't have like particularly like figurine mascots like Louis Vuitton does, and Vivienne is just adorable. They have like plushies, they have keychains, they have everything in there. You know, they always do like their holiday collections as well with the different prints, you know, the ski collection, blah, 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 blah. So when they released their Vivienne riding the dragon for the Lunar New Year, I thought it was the cutest thing ever. But I was also really pleased to see that instead of taking that kind of traditional approach to making all their designs in red for the Lunar New Year, Louis Vuitton actually made a lot of them in pink, which what kind of girl would not love something pink? And I think it's just really refreshing to see because most brands did stick with the traditional red, which we'll see in just a little bit. But I will have to say there's 3 main items that were really nice that were featured in pink. So they had a really cute scarf. They had the monogram along the entirety of the scarf print, which was cashmere. And then they had this cute little emblem that they had made with the dragon kind of going in a circle that was featured on the scarf. Additionally, they had also made kind of a matching pink beanie that also focused that really cute dragon emblem. And then additionally, they did also release a silk scarf as well that kind of had like that very cute monogram with gold and silver embellishes on it. So once again, I think it was a really refreshing take on the Lunar New Year, something to just appeal to a younger audience, because I think as we kind of get older, I think those kind of like traditions sometimes get lost, especially if we live in America. You know, the Lunar New Year might not be as important to some people as it is to others, or even the older generation. So kind of keeping a fresh look on things, I think, is really important for a brand's longevity. Louis Vuitton did not stop there though. They also made this really adorable twilly or mitza or whatever, I think they just call it, like a scarf in Louis Vuitton, which was red. But they also made a couple bags that did also feature a little bit more of a dragon theme. So they also had a cute little trunk box, and then attached to the chain there was a very cute little dragon charm. I'm not really into trunks. I know some people love the Louis Vuitton trunks. I'm not really sold on them yet. I have to say that I'm not really gravitating towards monogram at the moment. I think I much prefer very just like plain, kind of like quiet kind of bags, but I don't know, who knows, as I get older maybe I'll kind of get back to it. But then they also released a really special Nano Speedy, and it was so cute. On the handles they had put these little kind of where like you normally get that little like diamond finish at the edges of all the handles. Instead of doing just like the regular with the regular kind of like leather that they do, they'd added this cute little like dragon design on each end where it featured kind of like the tail and the head of the dragon. And I was so pleased to see something like that, because again, kind of like we saw with Dior and some other brands that we'll look at in just a second, a lot of the times they'll make the design but they'll kind of just like plaster it on the canvas or the leather or something where every kind of bag looks very similar, instead of kind of trying to think of more unique ways to incorporate those special designs such as a dragon. So seeing that Louis Vuitton had thought a little bit deeper and added those kind of extra special embellishes to the bag that represented the dragon without actually changing kind of like the majority of the print that a Nano Speedy has, or just it's very just kind of like small and minute, but it's still there and will still definitely catch your eye. So I thought it was very cute. And then additionally they released a couple very cool items as well, some shoes, a very cool little dragon box, and some ready to wear. But again, I've been in love with Louis Vuitton. I have gone several times. I haven't bought anything yet, but I did go in to look at their denim collection recently, and I did go in to look at some of their fine jewelry as well, because I'm actually pretty set on getting some of their fine jewelry pieces, because I think it's a little bit, again, a little bit more of like a fresh take. A lot of people say that it's a little bit too similar to Van Cleef, but honestly, I have learned a lot of things recently about Louis Vuitton that kind of made me rethink a couple things about Louis Vuitton, as well as kind of change my perspective on them in terms of comparing them to other brands. So like, for example, I have not confirmed all of this information, but this was told to me by my SA. Like, for example, I was looking at some of their fine jewelry and I was saying, oh, you know, some of these designs and motifs remind me of Van Cleef, because Louis Vuitton has this kind of like diamond kind of clover-ish looking thing for a lot of their designs, and then obviously Van Cleef has the Alhambra shape. And then he was telling me like a long time ago, Louis Vuitton had actually gotten into a legal battle with Van Cleef over like the ownership of this kind of design or something along the lines of that, and they said that Louis Vuitton actually won that dispute. So the TLDR of the situation is basically like Louis Vuitton never copied Van Cleef. Or another example was I was looking at some of their exotic bags, because in Louis Vuitton their exotic bags are much more affordable than they are for Hermes. Hermes. And again, my essay was telling me how the leather tannery that sources leather for both Hermes and Louis Vuitton, in terms of exotics at least, they share some kind of leather tannery, and Louis Vuitton owns the tannery and Hermes takes some leathers from the tannery, but actually Louis Vuitton gets a lot of kind of priority pick along the leathers as well. Again, I don't think it's like every tannery comes straight from Louis Vuitton, but there is something like that. And then again, if you're looking at like an exotic Birkin from Hermes, like that's Croc or something, that can go upwards of, you know, $60,000, $70,000, but a Croc Capucine, which is kind of like similar shape to a Kelly 25, I would have to say, that one only retails for 20 something thousand dollars. So I've just been rethinking a lot of things. I didn't know that that was the case. So I definitely think that if I become interested in exotic leathers later, I would definitely be considering Louis Vuitton, especially because anybody can do a made to order from the store, meaning that anybody, a client with no purchase history, can walk in and say, I want to make this bag with these specs according to, you know, if it's possible for Louis Vuitton, but you can just place that order and it's not a markup. There's a lot of things that have been appealing to me about Louis Vuitton. That's the TLDR. But again, Lunar New Year collection, I kind of went on a little bit of a rant, but Lunar New Year collection at Louis Vuitton was very, very cute. I would highly check it out. And if you're there, definitely check out the denim collection. And they also came out with this beautiful new blue for their most recent collection as well. There's been a lot of good things coming out of Louis Vuitton. So if there is a local boutique close to you, I would definitely go check it out. So the next brand up is a fun one, which is Fendi, because Fendi did a collaboration with FRGMT. I don't actually know how to exactly pronounce the name, but it was a Fendi x FRGMT x Pokemon collaboration. And this had come out before the Lunar New Year collection and everything like that. But I think it kind of segued into the Lunar New Year collection. I don't think it was specifically for the Lunar New Year, but the Pokemon that they had chosen were dragon Pokemon. So I'm 26, so I had also grown up playing Pokemon, I have to admit, and I really love Dragonair, Dratini, and the Dragon Pokemon line that they had chosen to put on their bags. And I think a lot of people might think it's really childish. I think it's personally childish myself as well. It's not a bag that I would actually probably add to my collection, but I thought it was still really special and really nostalgic and very cute. And Fendi, again, they had done some pieces where you kind of just like slapped on the Dragonair or the Dratini or whatever onto just a regular little card holder or pochette or something like that, and that was just it. It was just kind of like a picture on top of the leather, but they had also made some really cool bags. So similarly kind of how to the Louis Vuitton had added those little embellishments of the dragon and the dragon tail on the handle. Fendi had also done a really cute Fendi baguette where the entirety of the bag had been styled to fit like the Dragonair and the Dratini face, and it was so cute. Again, if I had like unlimited money, I might buy it for the meme, but it's just really special, and it's fun to see brands do something a little bit out of the box and take risks, because I don't think Fendi thought that this collection was necessarily going to pop off necessarily, but they must have had their own creative reasons for doing this collaboration. Obviously, Pokemon also had a recent collaboration with Tiffany as well. But I mean, I think it's just nice because the way I think about it is that when I was young and I played Pokemon, I obviously had no money and I was just playing it for the fun of the games. But now that audience that grew up playing Pokemon is now in the workforce making good money and has the money to be able to buy these Pokemon themed whatever. And so I think that was actually really smart in their kind of like marketing plan. I don't know if they exactly thought about it like that, but that's kind of how I thought about it. So people who actually can feel the nostalgia of Pokemon can now afford to buy these bags. And so I think it was really kind of clever on their part, honestly. And there are some things I would actually consider getting. There were some Fendi little like earrings that were really cute that were the Dragonair earrings. They were just, I don't think you could really tell that they would be Pokemon if you put them on, but they were just kind of like chunky gold earrings that I thought were really cute. And then there's some kind of charms and stuff. You know, if you're a girly and you really liked Pokemon growing up, like this is perfect for you, or even like the Tiffany Pokemon collaboration as well. This again kind of segued into the Lunar New Year since obviously it's Year of the Dragon. And so when Fendi released their little Lunar New Year red envelopes that they give to clients, they had put the Dragonair on it for their dragon instead of just like a traditional regular dragon. And again, thought it was really special and really cute, and it's just really fun to sometimes see these very special collaborations. But it's nice and refreshing to see brands just take a really out-of-the-box unique approach to some of their really classic styles that will be there forever. The next brand that I want to talk about is Gucci. I'm not like a huge Gucci lover, but I did see that they had released a really cute dragon themed collection for the Lunar New Year. I will have to say, unfortunately, I don't think that they actually released this collection in the United States. So I don't know if it's coming later or if it ever come at all. Obviously, the Lunar New Year is a little bit more targeted to Asian countries and the Asian demographic, so maybe Gucci just thought that it wouldn't be a really big hit here, but I do want to just pop some pictures up and talk about what they did end up releasing. So they did end up releasing a special Dionysus, which had a really beautiful red trim, and then on the back of the Dionysus, they also showcased this beautiful kind of embroidered dragon as well. Very beautiful. Then they also did a couple of really fun pieces with this little dragon that they had designed. It's like a really chubby pink and red dragon. They had a charm for it, as well as they put it on a couple of their small leather goods, some hats, and a couple of their just more casual bags with the kind of Gucci monogram across from it. And then additionally, they did also release a couple more just regular red ready-to-wear pieces, shoes, and the likes of that. Nothing extremely exciting, and again, I don't think it's released in the United States because when I went to go try and find it on their website, I could not find it. But if you are planning to go to Asia anytime soon and you're really interested in this collection, definitely go check it out there. Now, two other brands that I want to really quickly mention are just Miu Miu and Burberry, because they didn't do any particularly fun or interesting releases for this collection, but just following kind of like that traditional red, they did release a lot of red themed items, so like new bags or ready to wear and things like that. So from Miu Miu, there were a lot of just this beautiful kind of like bright red, I would have to say, bags that were released. So they had the Wander, they had the Arcady, and then they also released some very fun ready to wear as well as earrings and other fashion jewelry pieces that were red themed. And then from Burberry, also following the very similar suit, they just released a lot of red items. So that very classic cashmere scarf from Burberry was released in red. They released a very pretty red check trench coat, scarves, more ready to wear, a couple of bags and things like that. So they did release some things to kind of cater towards the audience that does celebrate the Lunar New Year, but they didn't create anything special like we did see in the previous brands. And then the very last brand that I did want to talk about is Loewe, and they had probably what I consider the most special release for the Lunar New Year. So they had released a very special Jade collection to celebrate the Lunar New Year, and what Loewe did in collaboration with these bags was to hire 3 master jade artisans to create really special like one-off pieces for them. But then additionally, they had also made this kind of more accessible jade collection with the newly reimagined flamenco bag. I won't be focusing too much on like that artistic jade portion that Loewe had also done these beautiful pendants with the master artisans. I'll be focusing a little bit more on the more accessible bags and other items that were ready to buy at the boutique that when I visited. But in San Jose at Valley Fair, the Loewe boutique had just newly opened, so my friend and I have frequented it a couple of times because we think that Loewe is so cute. But what they had done was that they had recently released their jade collection. So when that release happened, the boutique hosted a little bit of like a tea party, so you got to get these really cute cups with sweet tea in them, essentially, not traditional tea, and then you could shop around and look at the jade collection. But the jade collection, it was mainly just a release of some bags and some charms and some straps and things like that, but all kind of focused on jade. So what they had done was that they had released 6 newly imagined flamenco bags. So I'm sure a lot of you are aware of what the original flamenco bag looks like, but it's kind of like this really cute kind of dumpling drawstring pouch sign. It's got a crossbody strap and it comes out in various colors. The new flamenco bag, it's still called the flamenco bag, is very similar. The interior is really similar. The size is really similar as the miniature one. It's still a drawstring style, but what's different is it's kind of like a closed dumpling. So the flamenco normally has kind of like a portion of leather sticking up above the drawstring portion of the bag. Instead, now the new ones for the Jade collection don't have that extra leather that's above the drawstring portion. Additionally, the strap is slightly different. The strap actually has kind of a clip lobster clasp to attach it to the bag, which is much more easy than the traditional like leather only kind of way that you would attach the strap to a flamenco bag. And then additionally, the bags that were released for the Jade collection all had a little pocket in the back of the bag, and inside the pocket there was a real piece of circular jade that you could repurpose for whatever needs you wanted. You could make it into a pendant, you could keep it as a good luck charm. But I thought it was just really, really special because people who celebrate the Lunar New Year, obviously Lunar New Year is celebrated across multiple Asian countries, Korea included, but a lot of people also call it the Chinese New Year, and to a lot of Chinese people, jade is really important. And so to have a collection that releases specifically to pay homage and heritage to jade, which is supposed to bring good luck in the new year, is really special. And to actually include a real piece of jade for each bag, again, it's just like really paying respect to the Lunar New Year, in my opinion. So the bag was released in 6 colors. Each color is supposed to represent a real color of natural jade. So the 6 colors that were released were spring jade, emerald green, light mauve, dark khaki, khaki, dark brick, and sugar yellow. And then each of those bags had the matching respective piece of jade within their bags. And additionally to the bags, they had also released 2 really cute charms along with it. They had released a jade dragon charm, which was so cute. It was kind of like that spring jade color. And then additionally, they released a pea charm, which also, again, the little 3 peas inside the charm were also that spring jade color. Lastly, they had also released 3 special donut chains. So the donut chains were made of acetate and they came out in 3 colors. They came out in clay green, I believe, spring jade, and sugar yellow. So if you haven't seen my TikTok that I posted, kind of like, it was very brief, but it shows all the colors and all the jade and the charms and everything, definitely go check that out. But I think the collection overall was just so cute. I much prefer the new flamenco bag that these jade collection bags were released in over the regular flamenco bag, because I think it's just like a little bit more easy to get in and out of. It's easier to change the strap and everything because it has a lobster clasp. And again, the colors, which were all kind of like pastel muted, were so cute. My friend did end up purchasing the spring jade color with the matching spring jade donut chain. That was the best combination ever. She also bought the dragon charm. She's really into kind of like that jade theme, so it was the perfect collection for her. Personally, for me, jade doesn't have any meaning to me, honestly. No one in my family like really particularly values jade, so I thought it was cute, but I just wanted to think about it a little bit more. I do really hope that they keep making that flamenco bag in more colors later down the line, because obviously this is supposed to be a limited collection and a limited release. The bags are only available in 3 stores in the US at the moment. It's only available at Valley Fair in San Jose, South Coast Plaza in LA, and then also in the Ala Moana store in Hawaii. So if you're interested in the bag, you can order online, unfortunately. I think you might be able to call them and ask to place an order, but if there's just a regular Loewe store around you, you can go and just place like a remote order for the bag if you're particularly interested in it. So it is like a very special limited release. It seems like this collection did have a good amount of popularity, that they will just continue to release those bags in multiple colors, because I would love that flamenco bag in kind of like a little bit more of a neutral beigey color or something, or even like a black. That would be great. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm definitely going to just keep perusing the Loewe website to see if there's anything that comes up. I did, however, get one thing from Loewe during that Jade event, and it's in here. It's not super related to the Jade collection, I have to say, but it was kind of in line because we were looking at all those chains, like the donut chains that had come out recently for the Jade collection, and I was really on the fence about getting the big donut chain in a kind of beigey color. That was not in acetate, but it was in resin, and I thought that it would match perfectly with my Hermes mini Evelyne, because obviously the Evelyne only comes with a fabric crossbody strap, but I thought that Loewe sells all these really just regular straps. There's no brand on it really that you can tell, and they're really versatile. So I was definitely wanting to buy a shoulder strap to match with my Evelyne TPM, and I think I definitely found the perfect one. I did not end up going for the kind of big donut one with the resin with beige, but I did end up going for this miniature donut one in just all gold, and I think this is going to be the perfect, most versatile chain in my collection, because you can really add this to anything. It can be a shoulder strap, or it can just be an accessory to a bag. I kind of just like put it very briefly on to my Goyard tote to add just like a little bit of an accent. The donut chain comes out in 2 sizes. This is the smaller size, so you can tell that the little donuts are really small. It also comes out with big donuts. You can get it in all gold, all silver, or you can also get it in that resin or acetate where it comes out in multiple colors. But I just want to be safe, and I think gold is just really safe. Most of my bags have gold hardware, and I think whenever I get my Loewe bag, this can easily be attached to it and added, or this can be attached to so many different bags. You know, I could put this on my DJoy if I wanted to. I could put it on so many things. So I thought that this was going to be a really good investment. This was only $450, which I thought was very reasonable for a really high quality chain. So let me just get my Evelyne really quickly. Here is the chain. It matches perfectly with the gold on my Evelyne TPM. And this is the color with the gold, and so let me just put her on so you can see how cute of a shoulder bag this makes. It fits super comfortably on the shoulder. It's still a little bit low. I'm going to include some mod shots so you can see a little bit better. So in addition to wearing it like this, if you want the bag to sit just a little bit lower on your shoulder, you can actually make an even shorter shoulder length bag because the donut chain is really tiny. You can actually thread the donut chain such that it comes out from one side to the other, and this creates an even tighter shoulder length bag, and again, it's just super comfortable. It's still super easy to get in and out of the bag, and this chain again can just be placed on any bag. Gold is a really versatile color because a lot of my bags have gold hardware, so this is something that I'm definitely going to just be throwing on a lot of different bags and wearing it to its fullest. You can even make the Evelyne into a top handle like this by doubling up the chain. There's just so many endless possibilities. You can obviously do all of these with a twilly, but a twilly is just a little bit more cumbersome to tie in a really nice way, and so having a chain like this on hand to just make this bag a lot more versatile is going to be really helpful, because honestly, I've mentioned it in a couple other videos, but my least favorite type of bag to wear is a crossbody. I do like the Evelyne because I got it in a really neutral color and it's very casual and comfortable to wear with the fabric strap, but I will have to say I reached for it a little bit less because it was a crossbody strap, so now adding this chain will just encourage me to wear this bag a lot more and use it to its fullest. So I'm really excited to start taking this out with the chain, and I think it's really special as well because I don't think a lot of people have thought of a way to kind of make the Evelyne a little bit more versatile, so it might inspire some others to do the same. But that brings us to a wrap on today's video. I really hope you enjoyed watching. I would love to know down in the comments if you had a particularly favorite New Year's collection that you saw released this year. Additionally, I do want to start interacting with you guys a little bit more personally, so if you want to follow me on Instagram or TikTok and personally DM me on either of those channels, I would love to know if you guys have any questions for me or any just random errant thoughts you have about luxury. If you just want to chat about literally anything, I am there for you guys. So I would love it if you follow me on some of those platforms as well, so later down the line I can do some more fun videos that kind of involve you guys a little bit more as well. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Happy New Year, happy Lunar New Year, and I will definitely see you in the next one. Bye guys!